103.7 FM, The Mountain. I think we put this thing on the air. Hard to believe, but we did it. We're in the Mountain Music Lounge, and it is a true pleasure to welcome to the Mountain Mr. David Bowie.
Good morning.
And David didn't come alone. He brought his excellent guitarist, Reeves Gabrels, with him, too. Big hand for Reeves, please. David, welcome to the Mountain. I heard glowing reports about the show last night.
It was a super show, a lot of fun. Very nice theatre. I mean,
The Paramount.
Yeah, they've refurbished that.
Yeah.
Most spectacularly. So.
And your stamina, my friend. You stayed up late last night. You signed autographs and met people after the show. And you're here bright and early.
It's desperation.
Rock stars are supposed to sleep until... Rock stars are supposed to sleep until 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
I'm just desperate to not miss the day. Oh, I hate missing anything. So I stay up as long and as often as possible.
Well, here's the story. We last week we had our Mountain listeners send in and fax in, email us questions to ask David Bowie. So we have some pretty serious David Bowie fans here this morning.
Well, yeah, somebody just told me my mother's name, which was...
Really?
One, unusual, and two, quite useful, because I'd actually forgotten it myself. So it was, you get all kinds of new information in this.
Anyway, we can help you out with that family information, David. If it was okay
with you...
What's that
called about the memory thing? Is it just short? You can't remember, yeah. Short-term memory?
Fish have a 5-second memory, so it's...
Sorry? That's true, yeah. They go around, wow, look at that. Wow, look at that. Wow, look at that. Hey, look, food.
If it's okay with you,
yeah.
Before we get to some of the questions, can we start off with a song this morning? I'm sorry, David, I'm not your usual morning disc jockey. I'm the afternoon disc jockey.
Yeah, right.
So,
no, it's my pleasure. What do you want to do?
What would you like to hear?
Oh, we sing the song?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I didn't understand. I thought, maybe Danny Boy or something you'd be...
Kind of a sing-along maybe with everybody.
Well, we've decided that we can't do any songs where the note is higher than so that's restricted us. I've gone up a step? All right, then. There was, there's a song on the Earthling album called Dead Man Walking, but the story behind it, thank you very much. When I was a wee little lad, one of the session guitar players on one of the records that I made in the mid-'60s was Jimmy Page, who subsequently became... Robert Plant. At that particular stage, though, he had a riff that really impressed me. I said, that's such a cool riff. And he said, oh, you can have that if you want. I don't use it anymore. So Dewey gave me this riff, and I try and work it into every album that I've made. It's such a good riff. So at the time, I wrote a song called The Supermen, which was... When all the world is very young, mountain magic, heavy hung, the Supermen would walk in file, guardians of a loveless isle, and gloomy browed was super fair. I don't know, they were guardians of this thing and that. It was all very sort of, over the top, kind of mythological. Anyway, the riff stayed with me, and we kind of worked it into the new album, which kind of goes like this. You make the first move, buddy. Swivels his head, tears his eyes from the screen, as his past takes him back to Atlantic City. There's not even a demon in heaven or hell. Is it all just human disguise as I walk down the aisle? And I'm gone, now I'm old to the movies, and I know who's there when silhouettes fall. And I'm gone, like I'm dancing on angels. And I'm gone, through the crack in the past, like a dead man walking. the old men dancing under the lamplight, shaking their sex and their bones, and the boys that we were. An alienation in therapy, sliding naked anew, like a bad-tempered child on the rain-slick streets. And I'm gone, like I'm dancing on angels. And I'm gone, through the crack in the past, like a dead man walking. Like a dead man walking. Dead man. Dead man.
There you go.
The mic was dying on me. It was just like sliding down my body. As I thought I'd have to go down onto the floor and finish it on four legs.
David Bowie and Reeves Gabrels are with us in the Mountain Music Lounge this morning. And they did a sold-out show at the Paramount last night. Great reviews for the show. Who is your bass player? Your
Gail Ann Dorsey.
Many people were blown away by her
She's
work.
fantastic. I mean, frankly, for me, I don't want to say it really in front of him. So I won't. But for me, that's good. For me, it's the best band that I've worked with for, I can't tell you how long. Maybe, well, there are two bands that stand out in my mind. One was the Station to Station Tour band, which was just fantastic. And, of course, the Spiders. And I think those two bands and this band, for me, is just wonderful. I mean, I could work with this band every night of the week forever.
I get the feeling there's some good personal chemistry between you and Reeves, as well as musical.
Well, a lot of it's theatre, you know.
That's
It's
a lot of fake
yeah,
stuff.
you know, the show has to go on, so you kind of,
right.
you know.
Show people have to do that, don't
Show
they?
people do.
It's a mark of professionalism.
Yeah. Okay. Would you like to...
Mark, it's Stephen, you mean? Stephen Stigmata. Steve Stigmata, I remember him. He was our driver in Vancouver. Steve Stigmata.
Cousin of Velcro Despot.
He met us at the, I said, look at the guy dressed in a Mormon suit. I said, I bet he's our driver. He said, hi, I'm Steve and I'm your driver. My real name's Mark, but the whole company, all the drivers are called Steve, so I'm called Mark. He said, oh, I didn't know you were a big rock star. I grew up with your music. And I said, who am I? And he said, the car's over there. This was the start of our tour.
David, would you like to tackle a listener question or two here?
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, this first one is from Lynn Bay.
I'll just tackle the listener, yeah.
Lynn, is that you?
Speaking of your mind.
Okay.
Oh, hi.
You're free to do that as well. Okay, we're going to get a little metaphysical here, I think, Dave. Kind of heavy. The
Antibiotics.
That was
it's a two.
Olivia Newton-John song, right?
It's
Well, metaphysical, yeah.
right. Let's get metaphysical.
Yeah, all right.
It's a two-parter. The reflection: is elemental change possible, or in attempting, do you only apply removable masks?
You're kidding
The
me.
question: do the masks you put on conceal or reveal? Are they more expressions of elements within you, or attempts to funnel only portions of you to the public face? Good question, Lynn.
Let's redirect that question to Captain Beefheart. Well, it's usually, you know, I already put a mask on Sunday mornings when I have to go down the road on my own without my entourage and get the Sunday newspapers and my cigarettes. I put a mask on, usually a mask of Michael Jackson I put on, and I go running down the road. Hello, everybody. Bad. With my Michael Jackson mask and my white hands, and I'll get besieged by newsagents trying to sell me copies of scandal sheets that they put together on Saturday night. That's me and masks.
That's sort of like if the nose fits.
If the
Oh, ow. Lynn, does that cover it for you? Okay. Well put.
Thank you, Linda.
Pat Scott. Pat Scott has a question. Pat has followed your career since the early 70s.
And what's my mother's name? Is that the question that you have in mind? Oh, Lord. Oh, sister, you know, I've got an interesting story about my sister.
Would you like to pause for that story? No, that's okay. It's your show.
It's really, it's my show, hey. This is the most extraordinary thing I think I've ever heard of. My sister parted company with my family. She's actually my stepsister. And she fell in love with an Egyptian, and she went over to Egypt when I was about 9 years old. And we completely lost track of her. She went over there, and she stayed over there and raised a family, apparently. When I first met my wife, Iman, or my to-be wife at that time, a daily newspaper in Britain decided to dig up my sister for some reason or other. They just wanted to, you know, how they go. They went over to Egypt and they found her. Now, the name Iman is a very special name, rarely used, and it's used if something special happens in the family. My wife was called Iman because she was the first girl for many generations to be born into that family. That's why she was called Iman. It means special person. When my sister had moved into the sister, she was the first Western woman to ever be seen in that village, and so they rechristened her Iman. Is that unbelievable? No, it's no longer Annette. It's now Iman. My sister and my wife are both called Iman.
Now, that was worth a digression there, I
That's
think.
a strange, isn't that a strange story? Yeah. Every word of it is true, I swear. Because I read it in the newspaper.
All right, Pat's question?
Sorry, Pat, yes.
Pat has never heard you stand for a cause, be it humanitarian like AIDS or political like Bosnia. Do you think it's wrong to use your fame to boost a political platform?
Well, I'm big on masks. I'd say mask makers of the world. Well, that's not exactly true. I mean, I have worked with Save the Children's Fund for many, many years, and so but it's probably, you know...
we carried, when we were with Tin Machine, we Rock Against Racism.
Yeah, we did quite a few Rock Against Racism gigs, man.
You know,
it's not something, I must say, I'm not much of a kind of a help troubadour type person. If I really can do something, I will do. And Save the Children's Fund, I think, is probably the one that I'm closest to and have been for a long, long time.
You played Neil Young's Bridge concert.
Yeah, I did. Yes, I've done a few things like that.
Those are great events.
That was actually a joy. That's the first time that Reeves and I actually started doing acoustic things, you know. We'd never done them before. Mm-hmm. And we enjoyed the hell out of that so much that we just, now we phone up radio stations and ask if we can go on and play acoustic songs. It's, you can't stop us. We'll be ripping the guitars out of the boxes on the plane going to San Francisco this afternoon.
I made 75 cents yesterday on the...
He actually did make 75 cents. He sat down in
the airport.
And the little train, the little shuttle train, he took out his hat and his guitar and got 75 cents.
Impressive.
75 cents, yeah.
Another question from Kat Spellman. Kat asks, please tell us how you've prepared for your film and theater roles in the past, for example, as the characters of Andy Warhol in Basquiat, Pontius Pilate in The Last Temptation of Christ, and The Elephant Man, and what attracts you to a specific acting role?
The only one that I really did any preparation on was The Elephant Man. I went to the London hospital and dug up the remains. I got them to pull them out of the drawers that the different parts were in. Oh, sorry.
Really? Ironic.
Yeah, you know,
Eerie.
yes. Allegedly, he tried to buy the remains at one time, but I'm not sure if I believe that.
The teeth marks in my tongue.
Wow, you're slipping them through there. They're going down. I think they're going down very well.
They're a little high on the outside.
Yeah, and so I got to see a lot of the things that he made while he was living with Dr. Trevis and all that. The little church that he constructed out of cardboard. And I read just about everything on him that I could get. But things like the Andy Warhol role, it was more or less an impersonation. I mean, I'd met him a number of times in New York. You couldn't go to a gallery opening or a party or anything. He was always there. He was everywhere. And he had such obvious body language and things that it's kind of easy to do his shtick, you know.
That was a great Andy Warhol, and if that's not
Thank
the way
you.
he acted, I have to. That's the way we picture him.
It was
so
definitely the way he
good
moved. I mean, the accent was like, you know, it was the English Andy Warhol. But the body language I pretty much had down. That was how he felt. And he, but one thing about him is that I always thought of him as actually being a pretty shy guy. Shy and pretty insecure. I didn't buy into the idea of him being particularly cold and manipulative and all that. I just think he was he really didn't know why he was so famous, you know. He really, I honestly don't believe he did know.
Yeah. And Reeves, any acting for you at all?
What do you think I'm doing now?
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Pretending
Most
you're friends with
extraordinary
David.
thing, what you probably don't realize, that this actually is Gayland Dorsey.
That's sort of like the joke. I told my body I told my wife I had a body of an 18-year-old.
And
She
she
said,
told
"Give
you
it
to
back."
give it back. Yeah,
You're getting it all
Good morning,
wrinkled.
everybody. How about another song?
How about another song? Well, should we do what sort of a neo-suicidal thing?
What do you think in the morning? Wouldn't that be kind of? Yeah.
Which one?
One of any number of suicidal songs. This one came from the middle 70s.
Vintage neo.
What? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's called Always Crashing in the Same Car. You like that tempo? Every chance that I take, I take it on the road. Kilometers and the red light. Never looking left or right. Always crashing in the same car. Jasmine, I saw you peeping. As I put my foot down to the floor. Driving round and round the hotel garage. Must have been touching close to 94. Always crashing in the same car. Yeah, 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 yeah. Always crashing in the same car. Yes, I'm always crashing in the same car.
David Bowie on 103.7 FM, The Mountain. We're live in the Mountain Music Lounge with David and Reeves Gabrels.
And then if they were to die or whatever on one of their little working assignments, the skin is then auctioned off and it becomes...
David, a question from the listeners. This is from Brian Johnson. I think you can see Brian right here. You've been such an influence on younger musicians over the years.
The listeners sounds like the everyday story of a bunch of gossips. It's a soap opera. The listeners.
Dun, dun,
Edna
dun,
and
dun.
Jacob Listener. Sorry, carry on.
You've been such an influence on younger musicians over the years. Now that you've turned 50, Do you feel that today's younger musicians are having an influence on you and your music, and if so, who and how?
I don't think there was ever a time when other musicians weren't. I mean, it just, by the throw of the dice, that the musicians that I like listening to actually happen to be younger than me now. But when I was
Who would some
young,
of those people be?
What now? Let me see. You know, rather, actually, I think it's
Elvis?
Elvis, yeah.
Hendrix?
All Seattle people. Oh, do you know they're putting up a statue in where? In England?
No,
Was it Yorkshire somewhere? Was it Manchester? To Hendrix as part of a living history of culture of English rock music. Is that peculiar or what? Do they think they know? Oh well. Anyways, yeah. So I think actually it's probably fairer to say that what I'm really attracted to are genres of music rather than there's particular artists that I quite like. But for me, at the moment, for instance, I like very much the European dance movement generally, which is a pretty broad spectrum, and it ranges from techno through to weird step and I guess vaguely trip hop. But it's that particular vocabulary that I find is influencing the way that I'm writing a lot these days. But by the same token, when I was younger, the same kind of thing used to happen to me. I'd get infatuated by dance music. I've always loved dance music ever since I was a kid. And somehow or other, it's always become a part of my music. And Young Americans, I was very much into soul and original disco at that particular time. Mm-hmm. And then really the first synthesizer movement, it was the kinds of new house that was coming out of Germany at that time. It was very much, it was supposed to be the beginnings of new dance and all that. So in a way, it's always been part of my background. I've always loved dance clubs anyway.
Mm-hmm. You know, you keep reading that electronica and drum and bass from Britain is just on the verge of really just busting loose in America.
On the cusp.
Is it going to happen, or
yes, it will. But it probably won't be the great coming that the people are expecting. I think it'll probably gradually transform itself and work its way again into the vocabulary of rock music. And it's happening with some kinds of bands. As I said earlier, I think I mentioned Soul Coughing. Mm-hmm. Is to you, I think, wasn't it? A little earlier. Wasn't it to you, Pat?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. And this British band, Apollo 440, that are working in a way that we really are familiar with, which is we're working with samples and live instruments, which I think that's going to be really a kind of where the future of that particular genre of music lies.
I hope we're going to be able to squeeze in one more song.
I don't.
Not enough. But I have one more critical question.
One
here
more critical?
From Marceline.
I had those for breakfast.
Marceline
Hi,
Rogers
Marceline.
Brown, a big bowl of criddles. Is very
Yeah,
tasty.
bowl of criddles.
Little milk and sugar.
Damn, I could do with a bowl of criddles.
You just add water.
Should we ask Grandma? Grandma, get the criddles on.
Marceline is curious. After your last tour, the outside tour,
Yeah.
she was inspired to get her first tattoo. And she wonders if you have any, and what and where they are. I think we're going to have to see Marceline's first before you show her yours.
Well, unfortunately, my tattoos are in a small box at home on the dressing table, but I never actually wear them. I have them done on pieces of old animal skin, and I drape them over my bed at night for the entertainment of my dear lady wife. I do have a tattoo, actually. It was.
Folks at home, your tattoo.
Show the folks at home.
pulling
This
up
is
his
one that I
pamphlet.
prepared earlier. It's sort of on there. You can't really see much of it because I can't twist my leg around. And it goes all the way up to
Ooh,
the
that's nice.
left lower cheek.
It's Japanese writing and
Yeah. It is actually the Serenity Prayer. Good guess.
very good, Brian.
Oh, your knowledge of Japanese is
You just caught a couple characters and read it right
That's
away.
right.
That's pretty good.
Shortly after I met my wife, I was in Japan, and I got well, actually, it's almost impossible to get a tattoo done in Japan because it's in most parts of Japan it's illegal, and it's very generally the Yakuza the equivalent of the mob in Japan, they'd actually get it done, because what they do is that they completely tattoo their bodies down to the wrists, to the neck, and to the ankle. And then if they were to die or whatever on one of their little working assignments, the skin is then auctioned off, and it becomes a dowry, really, for the family. It's a kind of a way of protecting their family thing.
I used to drive one of those.
So as you can see, I'm not actually what
a Yakuza.
a
Great
dowry
little car.
or a Yakuza. They are
But
good.
the
I had a
electrical
70
systems
I had a
on those
73.
cars.
Yeah, sure.
How about another song before we
Well,
say
I hadn't
goodbye?
finished actually.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So anyway,
So these two guys.
these two guys came out the corner one night, and I had to go to the far suburbs of Tokyo to find a couple of people who would actually do it. And it was one of the most extraordinary evenings of my life, which I'm not going to go into. But I think I met a whole lot of real interesting guys that night.
Wow, and I'm sure they're licensed and bonded and everything
Oh,
in their
absolutely,
skills
yes,
and
sure.
the highest hygienic techniques, standards.
What song do you want to do? What do you want to do?
Let's
What?
do Scary.
You want to do?
Let's do the
Well-
Johnny Cash song.
You see, I could do Scary one of two ways. I could do it with the high voice, which I tend to say for the evenings. This is not a pleasant time to sing.
I've heard that.
So, I'm going to have a swallow here of coffee. Ooh. I mustn't mention the brand, must I?
What, Lavazza?
No, don't mention Lavazza. Excellent coffee. Anyway, we've got this version where I can sing low. And we based it on Johnny Cash. And so this is the Johnny Cash version of Scary Monsters. She was tired, just can't hide beats. When I looked in her eyes, they were blue, nobody home. She could have been a killer if she didn't walk the way she do. She opened strange doors we'd never close again. She began to wail, jealous to scream, waiting on the lights, you know what I mean. Scary monsters, super creeps, keeps me running, running scared. Scary monsters, super creeps, keeps me running, running scared. She asked me to stay, I stole her room. She asked for my love and I gave her a dangerous mind. That's so stupid in the streets and she can't socialize. But I love the little girl and I love her till the day she dies. Timmy's guitar sound, jealousy scream, waiting on the lights, you know what I mean. Scary monsters, super creeps, keeps me running, running scared. Scary monsters, super creeps, keeps me running, running scared. Keep that Yakuza running. One more time. Can you do it again?
Thank you, partner.
It's my pleasure.
David Bowie and Reeves Gabrels on 103.7 FM The Mountain. You know what? I fear we've come to the time where you have to mosey on down the bridal trail there.
Well,
partner.
yeah. The sun's coming up, and I gotta get some criddles. It's criddle time for me and Reeves.
Well, thanks so much for spending a little time with us this morning
Great pleasure.
in the Music Lounge and on the mountain. Thanks for your questions. That worked out pretty well with
Very good,
your
yeah.
interrogators here, right?
Excellent.
Reeves, tremendous. Thank you. Yeah, that was a performance, yeah. And David Bowie, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
103.7 FM The Mountain.